Knife TV. Today we're going to discuss BJJ, which is the common acronym for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and should that acronym be basically just Judo? So I saw this argument ongoing yesterday and the day before, I believe, on Facebook, and it was a representative of a system called Judo, who was basically having a little bit of an online dispute with a practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And that's where I heard that basically just Judo acronym used in exchange for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Let's talk about what the truth may be. Is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu simply a ripoff of Judo? So let's talk about Judo real quick. Judo comes from Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, dates back to the late 1800s, and the word or name Judo was created by a man named Kano, who was the founder of Judo and the founder of Kodokan, which was the actual prime school or headquarters for Judo at the time. So when Judo was created, it was created as a martial art, right? So it included Timiwaza, which are striking techniques, the throwing techniques that Judo is known for today, and then of course Newaza, which is the ground component. Now, it was the earliest masters of the Kodokan who actually spread this art of Judo in Brazil. Men like Matsuya Maeda, who would go on to teach the Gracies and other Brazilians the earliest form of Judo. So that's kind of where it all began. You have the earliest version of Judo, and then you have the Brazilians who started working to develop it to their liking and making it something that they would later refer to as uniquely their own. So the argument is that it has not become uniquely its own. It simply is a knockoff, or like, a bootleg version of something that already was in existence previously. So let me talk about my opinion on how I think that came to be, and we're going to be rather quick about this. I would argue that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the earliest days was one and the same with Judo. What I don't know is the path that Judo followed to 2019. I know Kodokan became world famous and world renowned when Judo was accepted into the Olympics by the International Olympic Committee. I also know that the rules of sporting Judo en masse have dictated the evolution and the practices in most dojo or most Judo schools. That being said, the prime purpose of a Judo match sport context is ippon, or the perfect throw. Once ippon is scored, or a perfect clean throw, the referee waves the match, and the person who successfully threw the other guy is the ultimate winner. There are half points, there are pins, and there are submissions as means of winning. However, again, ippon is considered the ultimate victory. Flip side, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu started as more of a vale tudo, free-fighting martial art, and then there was later a more standardized practice for tournaments, point-scoring system, and things along those lines. And what that point-scoring system did is it definitely rewarded a takedown, but it never deemed that a takedown would be the end of a match if conducted at a proper or certain standard. The fight still continues on the ground, or the match, if you will, still continues on the ground. And ultimately, there's a systemization of points based on positional dominance, reversals, and things along those lines. And then ultimately a submission trumps all points. So it doesn't matter how high one person is point-wise. Whenever a submission is achieved, the person who succeeded in obtaining that submission is immediately the victor. So what did that lead to? That led en masse to Judo having a greater level of practice in the throwing techniques. and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to have a greater amount of continued practice in Newaza, or the ground techniques. And it's my belief that in mass, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu took its roots in Judo and evolved into a greater depth of systemization. Lapel chokes have always been there. Shoulder locks, arm bars, joint locks have always been a portion of Judo. Strangulation techniques in general, pins, positional dominance, has always been a part of Judo. But I would argue that with Kosen Judo being very unknown across the world for the last 30 or 40 years in comparison to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I would say that I believe it's fair to state that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has become something different from Judo. Why? Because Judo at its core has become something different. That's what we have to understand. Just because you learn something at a certain point in time, or from a certain point in time, does not mean that that thing, or that system, or that style didn't later lean, or change, transition, or evolve into something significantly different. I'm coming from a background of over 30 years in Taekwondo. I've competed in continuous rules Taekwondo. I've competed in knockout events. I've competed in Olympic style, hard contact events as well. I ultimately left Taekwondo because the art that's practiced by 14 million some odd people across the globe is simply not the art I was introduced to 35 years ago. Take that into mind. The origin and the roots may be the same, but they're different branches to the same tree. Give respect to each, talk down to neither, and at the end of the day, just get on the mat and train. Suck less. I don't care what language you say it in. That should be your goal. Better every day. Thanks for checking us out at Fight Life TV. Hope to see you soon. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and ring that bell down below so that you'll be notified whenever we post new content. Last but not least, shout out to Combat Corner Professionals, best gear in the business.